A few years ago, Anthony Mackie made comments on the Wendy Williams show about making daddy a sandwich when talking about, the woman in his life and specifically talking about gender roles in a relationship. And recently, the black Captain African America actor was on the Pivot podcast where he made similar comments, but this time talking about raising his sons and specifically talking about how the death of the American male has killed masculinity in our communities. Now, he was speaking about this on the Pivot podcast, where one of the Negroes on there is always crying and complaining about white people. He's again another one of these racist blacks that grew up around whitey, but of course, in order to be a successful Negro, you have to be perpetual victim and cry about white supremacy 24/7, while liberal whites and Jews give you the money to do so. But anyway, seeing various reactions to this particular interview has been entertaining to me. Now, of course, you have the left who make it very clear that they hate men and masculinity and they view masculinity as toxic. They're complaining about it because of that, that they hate men because they hate men. And then you have some on that very same left side that's defending him, obviously, the liberal blacks because he's black. And then you have others who are saying, well, he did say something about toxic masculinity, so he's one of the good guys. So people shouldn't be attacking him. So the left, per usual, partially eating their own, but also attacking any trace of pro masculinity. And then you have the nitwits supposedly on the right who are praising him for talking about masculinity in a positive way. And the reason why I call them nitwits is because Anthony Mackie, no matter what he's saying here, he's still a Holly weirdo actor who's raising his sons to be male feminists despite this one particular instance where it sounds like he's actually trying to raise patriarchal men. But the reality is, we know that's not the case. That's not the case at all. And not just for celebrity blacks, but blacks in general. The communita in general is very matriarchal. So even when there is a father in a home, more than likely that man is still just another black Democrat. And so he's still raising them up under matriarchal rule. In the most recent election, just further highlighted that through statistics. No other demographic of men voted for a woman the way black men did. A woman, by the way, cosplaying as black, even though she's Indian. And so no one on the right should be praising this. This guy is still an enemy because he's a libtard idiot, Harley weirdo that participated in yet another race swap project. And the reality is, when you're talking about killing masculinity, he will never specifically highlight who or what is responsible for that. Because we know who and what is responsible for that. Is a large part of it is the people within his own very industry. Feminism, LGBTQ agenda. But we know he's not going to criticize feminism and the LGBTQ. He would be out of the industry. And so this is just another sort of facade stance that unfortunately a lot of so-called right wingers, they take the bait and bite on it, because a lot of these people are still obsessed with the idea of having celebrities agree with them, particularly celebrities that are liberal and clearly against them. It's like, oh, please just like us. Please like us because I like your stuff. I'm a little old consumer. Just please give me a bone. Like that type of bullshit. Because again, whatever this nigga was saying in this particular moment, talking about the killing of masculinity in our communities, that Negro and Negroes like him don't give two craps about the death of masculinity. Because there's no evidence that supports that they support a patriarchal household and masculinity. They are on the side, particularly every election season, of pushing this narrative that masculinity is toxic, that women are equal and better than men. Equal to and better than men at the same time. They're the ones that's supporting the LGBTQ agenda. They're the ones crying whitey all of the time, which is the furthest thing away from being masculine, blaming some other man for your own mishaps and issues. And so it's really just pathetic when I see uh, right wingers simp for the Anthony Mackies of the world just because they say something that sound like they are on their side or making sense about something. But anyway, there you have it. And even the people that are supporting him, especially the black women on social media, I mean, they're the biggest proponents of pushing, actual toxic masculinity, which is really not masculinity, it's just femininity in a male frame. That being the thug, the hoodlum, the gangster gangbanger, the pimp. But, responsible man, conservative values, that's the sellout to these black females. But anyway, again, whenever there's another opportunity to highlight some woke on woke crime and sort of naive right wingers, I like to take advantage of that. But the reality is, he's not about masculinity at all, especially being a black liberal Democrat who's gainfully employed in Hollywood. It's literally against his career to actually support that. And as long as he can blame it on they, the anonymous they, that allows him a safety net to where he won't be blacklisted. But if he defined who the they were, then that would be the end of his career. Which, again, is why no one in their right mind should actually take him seriously when he's not defining the they. Because, when those Negroes that was listening to him hear the they, we know damn well they're thinking, yeah, white people. That's who's to blame.